All right, how's it going? Seth here. We got Josh and Kirsten. We're gonna play Can't Stop. Simple, quick. Might end up playing it twice. Looks like Kirsten left. That's cool. Cool two-player quick game. Might end up playing it twice. Game's so nice, we played it twice. So, I guess we want to see who goes first. Did you also fall out, Josh?
No, I'm here.
There you go.
I'm here and ready.
If Kirsten comes back in, we'll... But I believe everything is connected and moving along. So let's see. I got a 5, 6, 7, 8, and you got a 7.
Yep.
So I'll go first. So this is just like a simple push your luck game. First to get to the top of 3 columns wins. So you need to split the dice 2 different ways. I'm gonna do 3 and 9. You can choose to roll as many times, but if you can't place a marker, then you bust.
Are there only 3 traffic cones or 4?
I believe there's only 3. Did you see something with 4?
No, I'm probably wrong.
Alright.
Fine. So 4, 6. What happened to you?
My computer overheated and turned itself off.
This is a pretty intensive game.
Classic.
So,
No, but seriously, Tabletop Simulator. Optimize win.
Download more RAM.
Download more RAM. So many 9s.
This is just like Ink and Gold, where I'm just gonna not realize how stupid a move is. Like that.
Oh, I see. Yes, because you can't place.
Anything.
nope.
I was gonna call it too.
No,
Seth.
yeah.
I only have 7 and 8. 5. I was gonna stop too. Josh?
Yeah.
We'll just go down the list. So while we're playing this, Josh, this is Kirsten and I have been. I guess this isn't as like into some of the other games we've been playing. Kirsten and I have been watching horror movies for the season. So what do you find is the difference between horror and thriller?
Oh, did I just hit a 12?
Yes, you did. Look at that.
Oh yeah. And a 9er. So now this is rough. If I don't hit an 8 or a 9, I'm done, son, correct?
Or 12.
You can move a 12 because you need to get it up to the top.
Oh, I need to get it all the way up to the top.
Yeah, it
right?
needs to cover the number.
Okay.
Got
what am I
8.
looking- 4, 8, 4. Yeah, but that doesn't help me.
8. 4 and 4 is 8. I helped you.
Yeah, but I can't do anything with the 4.
Doesn't matter. As long as you can do something with 1, you're good.
Is that true, really?
Yeah, you may
That-
continue to roll as long as your last roll allowed you either to place a marker or to move one up.
One or the other?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. Well, then can't stop, won't stop. Uh, 4, 5, 2. I'm out.
Oh, so I guess, yeah, you do need to roll that number to place, right? This is literally like 3 pages of rules.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
you gotta cover the number.
Okay, so I busted. I mean, a horror movie is. So I think they can overlap.
Oh, they definitely do.
But like a horror movie, I would say it's got to have a horror movie theme, which is either like a monster or some sort of evil. It has to be scary, like in terms of it has to. It's got to have some sort of scary or frightful component to it. A thriller doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to. A thriller needs to be, first of all, a drama, not a comedy. So it's on that side of the spectrum.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay. You mean the comedy versus drama?
Well, if we're considering those are the only two, if we're considering that the top of like the top of the tree, I guess.
I would say it needs to be
A tragedy
dramatic.
or a comedy.
I mean, it can have. I mean, I would say it has to be dramatic. A thriller, I would say, is like fast paced. It has, generally would have like plot twists. It would have moments of excitement. It's interesting. The overlap to me between horror and thriller is the element of suspense.
So that's what we had this conversation a little bit. Well, Kirsten and I had this conversation, and we kind of ended it with a horror film needs to have. So I don't think you can actually do that, Kirsten.
I asked you this.
I know, but I started saying this, and then it sounded like everybody agreed with me. I think when you roll a number, a value, you either move a marker or place a marker. And so if you rolled an 8, you can either move that marker or place one of your markers.
Okay, so I rolled both a 4 and a 7 here. So can I place my marker?
No.
At the end of I can definitely do this, Seth.
Okay.
Yeah, after moving the markers, the player chooses whether or not to roll again. If the player stops, they put markers of their color in the location of the current neutral markers.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was missing then.
That was literally
Cool.
the thing I looked up earlier, and I said, this is the thing that I did.
I kept reading that paragraph. And, anyways, so when Kirsten and I first talked about it, we ended up with a... Will I place this in a specific... This is literally 4 pages of rules, and I read them before this, and now that it's all happening.
You place it at the bottom most. If she would place on 4, she would
And then
place
this
it
just...
above that.
Right,
Okay.
and then this just goes... I just treat it like these aren't there. That's why they're cones, so they stack. But we ended up with a... With a horror movie needs to have some intrinsic... What did we say, Kirsten, at the start? It needed to have some sort of... We can't hear you. I can, because I can hear you downstairs, but I can't hear you on the mic.
A sense of imminent death.
That was the word I was looking for.
Eminent or imminent?
Imminent. The death needs to emanate from the film.
Do you mean that? Is that an element of horror or an element of thriller?
Horror. That death, the intrinsic... Death is... Like... There's an imminent fear of death in horror. And I kind of should have played that 9.
So
can I move
Thriller
6
is
up
a movie
twice?
that
Oh,
is
wait.
based heavily on suspense, but that does not have an imminent fear of death in it.
Well, and this is where it's like kind of blending of genres where it
Or
can
less of it.
like. So then when we got Andrew involved, we went into horror is based on fear, suspense, or thriller is based on suspense. Now, of course, there is suspense. There's suspense in the fear and in a horror movie, and vice versa.
But the two are subtly different.
Yeah, like I think of thriller, and because I always think of it as psychological thriller, it doesn't help that thriller is not necessarily a primary genre like horror or comedy. You know, it's usually a paired genre. Did I just bust?
I think so.
6, 7, 8, 5, 6.
Say 6 and 2, 3 and 3. You can literally move 2 of them.
7, 8.
Uh-huh.
I didn't bust at all.
No.
The only reason we play these games is to have this conversation about horror and thriller.
You had 8 and 8.
So can I move this up twice?
Yep.
I would say so.
I mean, 6 and 8s? Of course I'm going to roll 6 and 8s.
Okay, so but a thriller movie.
Like, when I think of thriller, I think of 7.
Now that's interesting because I actually think 7
Is a horror movie?
So I actually think 7. No, I would actually say it's the epitome of the like Venn diagram overlap between horror and thriller. Like I would say 7 is almost the perfect example.
Balance?
Yeah, I would say that's almost the perfect example of a movie that exists.
6 and 8.
A movie that exists.
And 6.
In that perfect Venn diagram between. I mean, look at this guy. What a joke. You had 4 too.
I'm not paying attention. I'm just rolling. You guys tell me what I should do. Because I'm not. 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I do it? Nope, 6.
Oh, you have 6.
Jesus.
I mean, 6 and 8s, that's what you gotta go for. Damn it.
How do you keep, what do
6
you
and
keep
8.
rolling?
You have
Yeah,
6 and 8 again.
Yeah, you have
Oh.
6 and 8 again.
I only look at 2 dice.
What is math?
I don't know. I don't know, I'll go draw.
Okay,
I
that's
can't
a
believe
bust.
you would. Yeah, I
That is
can't
a
believe
bust.
you wouldn't have stopped there. That's
I can't
insane.
either.
Oh, 6 and 8. See how many times I rolled 6 and 8 on this one go?
Get
I mean,
outta
I
here.
couldn't have
You
rolled it
Would've
once
stopped.
more.
You busted. Get out of here.
So, I pair thriller with psychological. And so I wrongly say that thriller needs to have some sort of, like,
7 and 3.
mind game or some sort of question and answer that's more than just like, why is Jason Voorhees doing this to me?
7 and 3.
So we watched...
Most of those shows are not Okay, so all of the Halloween movies, and here's a 7
Slashers are horror movies.
and a 5. They're not Nightmare on Elm Street is not a thriller.
There's suspense only because of the fear of death.
7 and 4.
Like, so Andrew earlier, when I first mentioned it to him at work, he was saying horror needs to be there needs to be some sort of supernatural element. And I disagree with that.
7 and 6.
Only in the sense that, would you say that Jaws is a horror film?
Oh, that's a great example. So, I mean, Jaws is undoubtedly a monster movie. And it's hard to argue. Here's 7 and 5.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was a 6, right?
That die is like weird.
Wait, something's wrong with it. 7 and 5. I'm gonna stop here. What color am I? Red.
You can.
No
Yeah.
red.
You,
The board's red. The house is red. I'm not being that weird brown color. I'm being blue.
okay.
Wait, yeah, you're green. I'll be blue. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, Jaws is a monster movie, undoubtedly, and it's hard to argue, except with like the satire movies. All monster movies are all monster movies horror movies, but all horror movies are not monster movies. Is that true? Fear and imminent death are a clear part of Jaws. It also includes over-the-top gore, a hallmark of horror movies.
I disagree with that too. I think it's a hallmark. I don't know if that's necessarily like so. Okay,
It's a common component. It's a common element in horror movies because it plays into fear and imminent death. So you have that, but.
So I was saying some of the weird ones were like when Andrew said that there needs to be some element of the supernatural. I said, okay, well, like, is Jaws or like Wilbur or like those are two like. Did you ever see Wilbur? About the rat?
No.
It's just another thing where it's like it's just an animal. Like there's nothing supernatural about Jaws. It's a shark. And then he said, because when I was like, okay, an imminent fear of death, he said, okay, well, what about,
So, I want to say real quick on the supernatural thing. I feel like Andrew is kind of right, but supernatural is too narrow. It has to have some element that is outside the normal.
well, I think, so, okay.
Like Jaws doesn't work if it's a regular 8-foot mako shark.
It's the fact that it's like a huge...
Yes, Jaws is a horror film because I think Kirsten is right. The imminent element of imminent death is an aspect of the movie.
So something...
There's a fear is a huge component of the movie, and it includes something... It doesn't have to be supernatural. It doesn't have to be not of this world. It has to be outside the norm.
I think...
Not abnormal.
There's like an unknown. There is... And that can even just be, like, going back to 7, the question of why. Like, a serial killer movie can be a horror or a thriller, but I think that unknown
You didn't place your second one, Seth.
why... Do you know what it was?
No.
Okay, then I'll take this off. 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and 4, 5, 6. Hey, I love it. Another thing Andrew had brought up. 8. Okay, that's great. Is like, and this is a little weirder because where does horror fit in with a Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark or like kind of children's horror?
I mean, those are almost all of those Goosebumps stories are like typical horror.
But that doesn't have necessarily like gore, like fear of I mean, there is a fear of death, I guess.
I mean, I think horror is a common element, but it can be a horror movie without gore.
Right.
But I do think even the Goosebumps things are... I mean, death doesn't need to be specifically stated. I mean...
There is risk, and there is...
It can be implied. I mean, thinking like, what was the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode with the I'm Cold? Because it's for, kids and people under 13. They don't say, yeah, when this like kid gets you, he's gonna like kill you. But clearly, like, nothing good is going to happen when the little kid gets in. If they can get the little kid can get into the house.
So I guess another thing on here to expand it to another set. Sweet. What about like campfire tales? I mean, those are horror. Like, there was a hook on the car door.
Well, yeah, I mean that's definitely horror. It's like.
Is that imminent fear of death, though?
Fear.
I guess it's imminent fear of death after the fact.
Oh yeah, you know what? Those are interesting.
Like, you don't know really until the like the quote horror punchline.
I still think it's horror because it's like a narrow, like a near miss. You know what I mean, or like a narrow escape.
But is that thriller? Is that a thriller because it's suspenseful? And then you drop and learn, oh, the hook was on the door. It's an interesting conversation. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna make this little happy face. Get my locks on them. So we watched The Vavitch, which you haven't seen.
Mm-mm.
Which would you say, Kirsten? Would you say that's horror or thriller?
7 and 7, damn.
I would say that's probably horror. I would say that's horror.
Then we watched The Lighthouse. Have you seen that? Probably not.
No, 2 more 7s. 1 and 2. Straight to the top.
I mean, it's the most common number.
Don't tell me the odds. 7 and 4.
Which I can definitely. Now that's an interesting one that we can't really have a conversation without you, because Kirsten and I have already had it a little bit. But there's a. If somebody argued that the Lighthouse is sold as a psychological thriller or drama, I think.
This is 7 and 11.
And if somebody came to me and was like, "Yeah, it's a horror movie," I don't think I could object. But at the same time, I don't know if I would pitch it as a horror. We watched Annihilation.
Annihilation is...
Is that horror or thriller? I know you've seen that.
You'll have to remind me... You'll have to remind me which one is Annihilation.
Natalie Portman and her...
Okay, yep, that's all I need.
It's
well,
not Star Wars, though.
I just finished the book.
How was the book?
Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent.
The movie is excellent, excellent.
I would highly recommend. It's actually probably in the family library, too, if you wanted to read it.
The movie is like... The movie is like... movie built for me.
It's a very fast read. If you like the movie, I'm almost certain that you'll love the book even more.
So I am someone who believes that a movie does not need to be more... A perfect movie can be told in 1 hour and 45 minutes, and while Annihilation is 2 hours, there is not a minute not utilized.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent movie. But what's your question? Is it a horror or is it a
horror or
thriller?
Or
is it somewhere both?
If you had to categorize, because a lot of these are going to be like horror or horror and thriller.
Yeah.
So would you say it was now the reason we watched it in Halloween week is because, and I had never seen it before. I always wanted to, and I just never did. And with we're in a weird time here. Kirsten doesn't like horror movies. We watched The Witch, and then I was like, he's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. It wasn't that scary. And so I was like, oh, maybe we can get away with horror movies. So I don't watch horror movies because she doesn't like them. And I just have a lot of things that back up, and so I'm kind of trying to get them. Well, I guess I'm not trying to get them out here, but it was pitched as a sci-fi horror film.
Sci-fi horror film for Annihilation.
Yeah.
Now, I have not seen the movie in maybe a year, and I just finished the book a little bit ago, so I'm having to go back and remember the movie because basically the last the last quarter of the movie and book are totally different. But I'm remembering she goes down into the
Lighthouse.
The lighthouse or the tower. She goes down into it where she spoiler alert, people of YouTube. So that's interesting. A sci-fi horror. When you first said that, I would have said it's a thriller because there's something they've got to find out. There's some sort of knowledge that they've got to find out.
Right.
And so there's aspects of a thriller, but I guess at the end, it is more of a psychological horror film.
I would say it's actually more thriller.
Sci-fi psychological horror. Well, there's just the movie is told in so many. To me, if you break it up into kind of vignettes or acts, so many things that are, to me, more akin to horror films. I mean, the almost constant fear of death. That's less in the book.
I feel like it's a little less in the movie. I think the two big points are there's like the weird alligator attack and the weird bear attack.
And the end.
The end, at least in the movie, didn't feel horror-y. It felt thrillery. It felt weird and...
Yeah, okay. Like, mind games are, frequently a thriller staple.
Right. Especially because thriller is usually paired with psychological.
Yeah.
And so, at the end, I wasn't so much scared. Kidding me?
Sorry.
I wasn't necessarily scared at the end. It was more of like a Close Encounters or an E.T. or some sort of like, oh man, this is weird. It's not like directly attacking me. It's just like
7.
There's a what?
There's 9. I think you're actually right. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I would indeed. Okay, I'm just gonna roll both these again. Now that I'm thinking about it, I would. Okay, so 7. I can't do a 7, right?
Correct.
You can't improve your 7.
Right.
It's tough.
Well, I wonder if you can place a marker.
8. Yeah, you either have to move it up or if you have to place a marker. I can still place a marker.
Yeah, but you would have to stop in order to like claim that 7.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused with like the markers and the squares.
So I would have to roll an 8 or a 9. I guess I'll pop this down on 10, and I will just claim my 7. I'll claim the
one of
top
3.
But after thinking about it, and after, you said that, Kirsten, your turn. I would agree with you that I think it's far less of a horror movie and far more of a thriller. It has some jump scares.
But I think it's built more on that suspense.
Yeah, it is. And they really have to use those jump scares in those kind of horror movie moments, like of monster movie things. That's what builds the suspense. The other thing is the unknown.
But does a horror movie can a horror movie not have jump scares? Or is that okay? So, we watched The Thing today. Have you seen that?
Is that the Arctic one?
Yes.
Okay. Horror movie, 100%.
Kirsten said it was more thriller.
But it's a classic monster movie, I think. Isn't it? I haven't seen that in a while, too.
I won't disagree.
It's a monster in the same way that Jaws is a monster. Like, to me, it's a thriller, and I think to Kirsten as well, because the thrill of the mystery is, and the suspense of who is the thing is greater than the fear of the thing.
I don't know. I feel like the fear is a constant thing in that movie. That's a tough one.
Is it a fear
Yeah,
of...
so that one is really hard to that one is really hard to define. You know, when along like the kind of definition, the working definition that we've got here of like whether it leans, you know, it's on the spectrum between how it splits its time between suspense and fear. I feel like one of the problems is our definition of thriller is not good enough.
Defined well enough?
Yeah.
It's suspense, which is problematic because fear is almost inherently suspenseful.
Yeah, the part of, yeah. And there's both, we're saying there's both fear and, I mean, there's frequently fear in thrillers too.
So what's a thriller movie that doesn't, like, what's like an action thriller? What about like Rear Window?
Yeah, Rear Window, I have so this is kind of interesting because...
Can you put a marker on top of somebody else's?
I don't know.
You know, okay, so Hitchcock movies are really, 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 really good test cases for
Horror and
something
thriller.
A thriller, is it a horror? I don't think Rear Window is either.
What do you think Rear Window is? A mystery?
So Rear Window is like quite literally all suspense, but it's like subtle, slow burn.
Is suspense another genre? I mean, just like music,
No.
these genres don't mean anything anyways.
No, they don't mean anything. It's just
This
for
is
good
fun.
conversation while we
I-
play this camp.
But I think this is a really interesting... It was just something I thought of when we were watching things, and I was just kind of like, this is such an interesting, fascinating conversation to have.
No, I agree with you. Because, okay, so The Birds is a clear horror movie.
Right, that's what I said. You can, Kirsten.
Okay, well, I did, so.
But what about Psycho?
Psycho is thriller to me. But it's also like a proto-slasher film.
See, that's what I mean. I think Hitchcock movies are quite...
Maybe Psycho is a better piece than Seven.
I think Seven and Psycho are so similar, and they exist in the middle of the Venn diagram. I'm trying to think of like...
So
Okay, so an action... So here's a good one. Is Air Force One an action thriller?
what's an action thriller? That's kind of like a horror thriller. You know, you can have a psychological thriller, or you can have
Okay, so get rid of the action. Is Air Force One a thriller?
yeah, right? If I had to say, it's thrilling. It has thrills and spills. I gotta raise Kirsten to the top of this 8.
Bus.
I have this 9 and 11 that aren't doing. Like,
There's a 9 and an 8.
See, this is where I got scared.
is Can't
like
Stop
other
a
movies.
horror or a thriller?
Oh, there's no imminent fear of death.
Is that what we determined was part of it? So just to get another thing out of here, we watched Haunting of Hill House.
The series?
Yeah, the Netflix
Yeah.
one.
Liz and I could not get through that.
We did, and it was not great.
It's so critically acclaimed.
Gosh darn it.
To literally everyone.
Busted.
You're out. You're done, son.
I was really disappointed by it.
Yeah.
We were too. And especially because their critical reviews are like, it is quite literally the greatest thing ever.
The book is only like 250 pages. I was gonna try and read it, but
You read a book?
yeah, I do every now and then. I start a book a lot.
Again.
But that felt even more drama than horror or thriller.
So you're right. Drama is separate from thriller. I think absolutely you're right there.
Like that was like a psychological drama with, you know, of course with horror elements and things like that. But
and it's not a thriller because it's too boring, right?
Oh, it has long, boring pieces. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Liz and I watched that, and we were both like, "This is so boring. I can't believe the reviews are so good for this," because we are literally sitting here, bored out of our gourds.
I've seen multiple people say that it's like an 8-hour movie, and it's like it plays like a book, where there's just long stretches
of nothing,
of kind of nothing. And the problem with that is that, okay, well, it's not a book; it is a movie, or it is a TV show. Like, you don't transliterate because they're different mediums and they have different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. We didn't like any of the characters. We thought it was just.
I thought all of the characters
boring.
were terrible. The end was very, very cheap. There was like some really good visuals, but it ultimately just kind of. I didn't care about anybody, so I didn't.
Yeah, I busted here. Damn it.
I didn't care about anybody, so I just didn't. I thought it wasn't as effective as it could have been. Like, I saw what it was doing, but I just didn't care, I guess, because the characters were all horribly unlikable.
I think we bailed like after the third episode when we got through it, and I was like, "Oh my god, so freaking boring." And
well, I think the third episode was the worst episode too. Whichever one was like Shirley's episode.
Yeah.
Where it was like, it was a whole bunch of just like, what was the point of this? I just like wasted an hour watching an episode directly focus on one character, and at the end of it, I went, what did I learn? Nothing.
And I think there's some excellent sequences in that, like
I do
psychological, you know, but it is just not enough.
I also felt that the answers weren't interesting enough. Like once you start learning things, once the horror elements leave and the things that I think are very effective in like a horror genre. I don't know how much you had, but like there was the bent neck lady is like an interesting idea. The old man with the cane that floats is like an incredible, like, effective visual. But near the end of the series, once they start answering what some of these things are, I didn't feel like they were satisfying answers.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, once you reveal the monster, it's not scary. And it's also... Haunting of Hill House is a drama, because the characters are the forefront. That is the story they are telling. It's about a haunted house, but it is telling the story of the character. It's not about the central fear of it or anything.
It's a family drama told through the context of a haunted house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I found neither the family drama to be that exciting or that interesting to keep me watching, nor did I find the haunted house horror thriller parts of it, however you want to cut it, to be interesting enough to keep watching either.
And I thought the non-linear storytelling was kind of a detriment.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, I thought that was one of the least effective non-linear storytelling things I'd ever seen.
Even within the non-linear, even within like the then and now parts, they were it kind of frustrated me every episode to be like, wait, is this before or after the thing that they already showed us? So the other thing we mentioned was Alien, which I would say is a horror movie. There's a lot of suspense in it, but I think the crux of Alien comes from the horror.
Totally. Totally.
That's not even a contest.
No, I mean, I think that's just like a sci-fi monster movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a haunted house in space.
6. You got it.
I think I'm gonna call it here too.
Okay. Yeah, not have anything for 8. Okay, I go 11 and 9. Yeah, I will go 9.
So is this a game or an
That's-
activity?
That's what I thought.
11 and 7. I can't place 7.
It's fine.
It's 11. Guys, it's happening. And 7.
Can't let.
Yeah, I gotta keep going. This one's a 2.
7.
It's a 6 and a 4. I can't place a 6, can I?
No.
Nope. You have to place the 4.
Or a 5. I could place a 5. I'll place
Also
5.
place the 5.
And I'll get out. Thanks.
So what do we think of this?
I like it.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. It's the perfect game for carrying on a stupid conversation.
It's like something to do.
I never used that.
So what did we?
I think
Where are we
I think
landing?
you need like really good example of a thriller movie.
Which is hard because horror is such like a primary genre, but thriller is not.
To me, it's like movies like The Firm or The Fugitive. It's like almost like a cat and mouse. Like those are really good examples of thrillers.
What do we got here? Seven. Silence of the Lambs. Shutter
So
Island.
that was actually going to be one of my questions. Was Silence of the Lambs? I guess that's more of a thriller than a horror.
These are under thriller. These are
What about like The Fugitive or The Firm?
I guess I would say that. I mean, yeah, I guess you usually call those. I mean, it's not like, I guess maybe not crime thriller like Reservoir Dogs or something, but like it is crime.
Okay.
I would say those are thriller. I know it's me. So yeah, Wikipedia says it's an action thriller. This was a 3. Now to ruin it all. Hey! I'm gonna stop. A 12 could be pertinent. Here.
Here.
think action thrillers are... I mean, I guess you'd have to say horror thrillers are redundant, too. Like, would you say Speed is an action thriller? Also, the picture for thriller on Wikipedia is Rebecca.
I keep telling you.
I mean,
Thriller.
it also says rear. It also has Rear Window. It's funny, the Wikipedia for thriller doesn't seem to have a horror thriller category.
I think we can all agree that the music video for Thriller is a horror.
So here's a question, Josh. Would you consider Contagion a thriller?
Yeah, definitely. All those movies are like Outbreak too.
A pandemic thriller?
Yeah, those are all thrillers too. Like, because they include a race against time component frequently. That's what makes them exciting. That's what makes them thrilling.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that there's no horror thriller subcategory on Wikipedia. Maybe a horror film is automatically a thriller? Josh just needs one more.
Yeah, do you only have to get 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Four. Four. Come on.
That's a rough roll.
Nope, nothing.
What about Gremlins?
Gremlins is horror. It's funny, it's one of those things that you just kind of, like... It's like a gut instinct. But I think it's also easier to call out Gremlins for being horror because it's a monster movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a monster movie first. What does this have for comedy thriller? What's examples?
4 and 8. There we go.
Silver Streak, Doctor Strangelove, Charade, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, In Bruges, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Grosse Point Blank, The Thin Man, Big Fix, Pocket Listing, and The Lady Vanishes.
Okay, this is a bust. This is only 6, 7, and 8.
Well, you've got a 9 there.
Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
But you haven't even placed everything.
Oh. I thought it was only I got stuff.
No, I think you
going.
can bust without placing. Because you can't place.
And a 4. We're doing it. 6, 9. Probably should stop. If I only get 6, 7, and 8, I'm out. Whatever, go on Y time.
8 and 6 and 5.
7 and 5. You place your 5.
Yeah.
That's what I got. 5. Okay, I will stop here.
How many cubes Josh has on the board? Three. 6, 5.
5.
I don't think board game can top our conversation.
Yeah, my only criticism for this game is it is fun, but
Kind of mindless fun.
Yeah, but the nature of dice rolling to d6s is that the game can be really hard to close
Yeah, you just kind of inch up.
as you wait. Well, as you wait for players to okay, I gotta hit a 10. You know what I mean? You gotta hit uncommon.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop there. So that I'm sure I have that.
Hey!
12.
I don't have any 9.
Oh.
Is that a bust?
No,
I
he
have
still has one more to
2
play.
more. Yeah, I have 2 more. Where's the other one? Oh,
12.
No, it's a bust.
no, I have one
Oh,
more
you
marker
can
to
play-
play.
No, but you
You
can't.
play the
You don't
9.
have a.
6 plus 3 is 9.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I'm stopping. Should I not have stopped? Did I get stuff out of it?
No, that was the right decision.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I forgot I got that 12.
Okay, here we go. Need some 9s. 11, 7, 10.
You do have a 10 down here.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think I have anything else in that. 10. There's a 9 too.
And how about you? Would you use for the
9
9?
and 6. Yeah.
Ugh.
Thank God that's not a bust. That's a stop for me, though.
Okay.
Inch and upwards.
It's the one thing, like, as you kind of start having less that you can work with, it's like, and I'm gonna.
Yep, I moved
stop
up
a lot
one.
sooner.
Maybe I should have kept going. I mean, because I guess the...
That sucks.
Yeah,
Curse-
I just won.
Ow.
6 and 3, 6 and 3. That's two
Yep.
9s, and that was my third one.
Oh,
I
you're
can stop.
underneath.
I'm done.
That's perfect timing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for... Hope everybody... Yeah, this was mindless fun.
That was good.
The conversation was better than the game, which is totally fine for me.
Yeah, it was good to try.
Because games are just about the people you play with.
Man.
Well, hopefully you liked this. If you did, tell a friend. Also, check out the links below in the description. That's all our social media stuff. Like, smash, subscribe, bell, all the button things. Any little bit of support is super cool to see. I think on Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, Andrew and I are playing Dead by Daylight. I think one last hurrah for October. I don't know what we're doing Saturday. Maybe Kirby's Dream Court. But as always, if you press all those buttons in the description and things like that, you'll certainly know what we do when. So, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you later. Have a good one. Bye.